What's up, friends? Thought of the day number 3, talking Moxy and SmO2 again. Following up on another question from Stefan on Twitter from yesterday. A follow-up to the follow-up. He was asking about, is there any point, if I understood it correctly, is there any point, writing at maximum SmO2 or looking for maximum muscle oxygen saturation in a training session? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, and from what I've been able to see from my data and from data from other people that I've been privy to as well, it very much looks like SmO2max is closely related to lactate min, if I may say so. And that data is not for me because I don't have substrate oxidation rates at this point. But it also looks like SmO2max and fat max are somewhat linked. And I remember I would recommend you to go check out a video on Andrew Feldman's YouTube channel, which is called Near Science, I believe. NIRS Science. And he's got one from a little while back talking about SmO2 and fat max. In fact, I believe he has 2 videos on the topic, looking at a paper, maybe a couple even, on the topic. So yeah, I would say that if you're trying to optimize your zone 2 training and you're trying to be, in your fat max zone, because we know it's not a 1 point, but it's more of a range, where you're going to be oxidizing the maximum amount of free fatty acids. So it makes sense to me to look for SmO2max in that particular case, right? And then from a mechanistic standpoint, and that is definitely correlation more than causation. I haven't seen any causal data on that, but I did come across some interesting information in a couple different papers looking at oxygen transport, and I don't have the names up the top of my head. If you're interested, leave me a comment and I'll dig them up. Looking at oxy and deoxymyoglobin and the affinity of oxymyoglobin, the increased affinity of oxymyoglobin with free fatty acids. Because it turns out, and I didn't know that until recently, and it seems to be fairly new in the literature as well. It seems to be a newer finding. There's the myoglobin not only transports oxygen, but it also binds to free fatty acids. Or if it doesn't bind to it, because I'm not 100% on the terminology here, if it doesn't bind to it, it does facilitate the transport and utilization of free fatty acids. That's what I've been able to see. We know there's conformational changes. I think that's what it is. When a molecule binds to something else or attaches to some kind of something rather, its structure and function can change. And so that I believe that's what's going on. When myoglobin is bound to oxygen, it will have a positive effect on free fatty acid transport and utilization. So from that standpoint, it would make sense that wherever you see the most amount of oxygen in the muscle or in the capillaries, you would have a decent chance to have a highly saturated myoglobin, and as such facilitate free fatty acid transport and utilization, if we follow that line of reasoning. Again, I don't know if there's any mechanistic link there, but that kind of jumped out at me when I saw it. I was like, oh, myoglobin, oxygen, free fatty acid transport, SmO2max, fat max, that all kind of makes sense. And then also, like I said, what I've seen from the more recent data that I've collected in both on both Moxy and taking lactate measurements, it also looks like as soon as lactate starts going up, SmO2 starts going down, and in one way or another, right, depending on the profile. But there is that relationship there. So I know they're not the same thing, but again, we know that lactate elevation in lactate is going to downregulate free fatty acid release and oxidation. And I don't know to what extent that signaling pathway is linked to myoglobin and oxy-deoxymyoglobin in any way, if at all. So that I don't know, but I mean it's two things that pop up, right? The lactate going up, SmO2 going down, and then also SmO2max and fat max being fairly close, and talking about myoglobin, oxymyoglobin, and free fatty acid transport and oxidation. So here you have it. That's what I have on the topic. But again, I personally have not been able to collect. I've been not able to collect substrate utilization or substrate oxidation rates data so far. So, but I have been privy to having a look at the list of keynotes or presentations at this year's Moxy Summit, it was the last 2 years, so there's no reason they won't do it again. It was free the last 2 years, so I'm hoping it's going to be again. So come October, you'll be able to get access to all of that. And one of the presentations is looking at SmO2 and fat max. That's actually the topic of the presentation. So hopefully there'll be a lot of interesting data coming out of that presentation. So it's still a few months away, but if it's a topic good enough for someone to prep a presentation on it, there's got to be something there. That's as far as I can go on that because I don't have any extra data, but looking forward to reading the comments and seeing if you have any info on the topic. I'd be happy to hear it. In the meantime, leave me a like, a comment, of course, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.